72 hours. That's how long the world had before 5 nuclear devices would detonate simultaneously across the United States, triggering a global thermonuclear war that would end civilization as we know it. The CIA's best operatives had been hunting the terror network for months, but every lead ended in dead ends. The NSA's most advanced surveillance systems couldn't crack their communication codes. The FBI's counterterrorism units couldn't identify the sleeper agents. But in a windowless office in the Pentagon's basement, a woman named Maria Santos was reading intercepted messages that everyone else had dismissed as meaningless business correspondence. Because Maria could see what the experts missed, the hidden patterns in seemingly innocent Spanish communications, the coded references that only someone who understood not just language, but culture could detect. She was about to discover that preventing World War III wouldn't require advanced technology or military force. It would require something far more dangerous. A translator willing to become a spy? Welcome to Warriors, where we honor the invisible heroes who save the world. Before diving into this nuclear thriller, tell us in the comments which city around the world you're watching from. And if you believe stories like this need to be told, subscribe and help us honor the silent guardians. Maria Santos arrived at the Pentagon every morning at 7:30 a.m. She'd descend to her small basement office, turn on her computer, and begin translating the day's intercepted communications. Spanish to English, Portuguese to English, sometimes French as well. For 3 years, she'd followed the same routine. Dress modestly, work quietly, avoid unnecessary conversations. Her colleagues showed her courtesy but kept their distance, because Maria was just a contractor translator, useful but invisible, competent but ordinary. The intelligence analysts, CIA operation coordinators, and NSA cryptographers working on the Pentagon's upper floors barely knew Maria existed. They saw the big picture, while Maria just translated words. But there was something Maria knew that no one else noticed. She didn't just speak 7 languages. She understood their cultures, too. She knew Latin American history, its revolutions, the coded language of resistance, and this knowledge would make her one of the world's most dangerous women. Maria's father was Colombian, her mother Mexican. Her childhood had been spent between 2 cultures, living the American dream while never forgetting her Latin roots. This dual identity had given her not just linguistic knowledge, but cultural intuition. She'd studied international relations in college. After graduation, she'd worked private sector translation jobs, then entered government service. The Pentagon job paid well and offered stability. But Maria was searching for a greater purpose. That purpose would soon find her. March 15th, 8:45 a.m. Maria opened her routine box of intercepted emails, Spanish business correspondence, billing notifications, corporate messages. Usually mundane stuff, but today something was different. Flower delivery will be made to 5 different churches on Friday. Coordinators are ready. Timing must be perfect. The message came from a florist company in Buenos Aires. The recipient was an event planning company in Miami. On the surface, it looked innocent. Maria translated the message to English and saved it to the electronic file. But something nagged at her mind. The phrase, flower delivery. In some regions of Latin America, this phrase had different meanings. During her lunch break, she searched the archives. She'd seen similar messages last month. Wedding flowers at 5 locations. Church decorations ready. Sunday morning service arrangements. Taken individually, they were meaningless. But Maria was looking at these messages through a different lens, the revolutionary history of Latin America. The word flower was used in some regions of Colombia to mean explosive. The word church could mean target. Maria's heart began to race. Was this just paranoia, or was she actually on to something? That evening, instead of going home, Maria stayed at the office. She decided to review all her translations from the past 6 months. If there really was a pattern, she'd find it. 9:30 p.m. She was alone in the mostly empty Pentagon basement, working through hundreds of translation files, thousands of messages. She began analyzing them one by one, first finding, in the last 6 months, flower delivery appeared 23 times, all from different companies to different cities, but all using the same format. Second finding, the word church always appeared with the number 5. 5 churches, 5 locations, 5 delivery points. Third finding, the message dates were increasing regularly, more frequent each week, more detailed each month. Maria marked 5 American cities on a map: New York, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami. All these cities appeared in the messages, both directly and indirectly. 11:15 p.m., Maria noticed another pattern on screen: Sunday morning service. In some regions of Latin America, this phrase meant synchronized operation. When she connected the dots, a terrifying picture emerged. A synchronized attack was being planned in 5 American cities. And the innocent messages Maria had been translating were actually Operation Coordination. But who would believe her? The next morning, Maria prepared her findings and showed them to her supervisor, James Crawford. Crawford was an intelligence analyst with 15 years of experience, a kind but practical man. "Maria, you've done good work," Crawford said after reviewing the files, "but these are very distant assumptions. Flower companies might actually be delivering flowers." "But look at the patterns," Maria insisted. "The timing, locations, coded language." "How do you know it's coded language? Maybe it's just business correspondence." Maria took a deep breath. "Because I know this culture. I know Latin American history, revolutionary movements, communication methods. These aren't innocent messages." Crawford frowned. "Maria, you're a translator. A very good translator. But you're not an intelligence analyst. These types of interpretations are our job. So who can I share my findings with?" "I'll pass them along, but don't get too hopeful. There's no concrete evidence, just cultural interpretations." Maria returned to her office, disappointed. She had knowledge that could save the world, but nobody would listen to her. 3 days later, Maria watched through the conference room glass. CIA director, NSA cryptographers, Pentagon senior intelligence officials, all of them discussing the documents Maria had translated. "We don't see anything abnormal in these messages," said the CIO analyst. "Routine business correspondence." "Cipher analysis came up clean, too," added the NSA expert. "Mathematically clean." Crawford stood up. "Our translator made some cultural interpretations. She thinks there might be hidden meanings in these messages." "The translator?" asked the CIA director. "Does she have field experience?" "No, but she's very knowledgeable about language and culture." "Language knowledge isn't equivalent to intelligence analysis," the director replied sharply. "We need concrete evidence, not cultural speculation." Maria watched from behind the glass. The pattern she'd found in 3 days couldn't be seen by 20 experienced intelligence experts, because they were only looking for codes, not culture. The meeting ended. No alarms were raised, no precautions were taken. Maria was left alone. She had knowledge that could save the world, but nobody would listen to her. That night, Maria made a decision. If official channels didn't work, she'd find her own way. She opened her personal computer at home. She would do what was illegal but necessary: conduct her own espionage. Maria didn't have hacking skills, but she had language skills. She began researching business circles in various Latin American countries over the Internet, social media accounts. She examined the companies doing flower delivery one by one. Most turned out to be fake companies, no real addresses, fake personnel lists, fabricated references. The event planning company in Miami was equally fake. New website, fabricated personnel information, customer reviews written by bots. Maria expanded the network. She researched similar companies in the 5 target cities. All had the same profile: newly established, fake information, no evidence of real operations. But she made the real discovery at 2:30 a.m. The company's financial records were fed from the same offshore accounts. Through a bank in Venezuela, Maria now faced certainty, not suspicion. A coordinated attack was being planned in 5 American cities, and the date was approaching. The next morning, Maria went to Crawford's office with the evidence she'd found overnight. "James, listen to me," she said urgently. "Fake companies, offshore accounts, coordinated activity. This is real." Crawford quickly reviewed the documents. "Maria, where did you find these?" "I did research." "Under what authority?" Maria paused. Officially, she had no authority. She'd acted on her own initiative. "Not under authority, but under responsibility," she replied. Crawford took a deep breath. "Maria, these findings are impressive, but you violated procedure. As a translator, you don't have authorization for this type of research." "Procedure? Millions of people will die." "If you're right. But if you're wrong, your career is over." Maria looked Crawford in the eyes. "My career versus millions of lives. Which is more important?" Crawford was silent. He was in a conflicted position. The findings were impressive, but the approach violated regulations. "Give me one more chance," Maria said. 72 hours. If I'm wrong, I'll resign." Crawford thought for a long time. 72 hours. But officially, nothing happened. Understood? Understood. Maria was no longer just a translator. She forced herself into espionage. Secret research at home after office hours, deep Internet investigations at night, routine translation work in the morning. Day 2, she discovered that the florist company in Los Angeles had purchased bomb-making materials in the same building. Too specific to be coincidence. Day 3, she found that the coordinator in Miami had previously received military training in Iran. Both identity documents and travel records were fake. Day 4, she realized the target location in Washington, D.C. was the Federal Building. The flower delivery timing was exactly 12 p.m., lunch break, maximum civilian density. Maria now had a complete operation map. 5 cities, 5 targets, 5 explosives. Simultaneous, maximum impact, maximum terror. But the 72 hours were up. Maria entered Crawford's office with her final report. City maps, financial connections, timeline analysis, target list. "Here's everything," she said. "The operation will begin tomorrow, 12 p.m., simultaneous." Crawford examined the documents. Silently, carefully, professionally. "Maria, this is incredible," he said finally. "If this is true, you've single-handedly solved the world's largest terrorist operation." "Not if it's true." "It is true." "What do we do now?" Crawford picked up his phone. "Get me the CIA director. Emergency." 5 minutes later, the Pentagon's upper floors were in alarm mode. FBI, CIA, NSA, Homeland Security, all analyzing Maria's findings. "We're confirming," said the FBI director. "Simultaneous operation preparations in 5 cities, all agencies mobilizing." Maria listened. The woman who'd been seen as just a translator for 3 years had just made America's most important intelligence discovery. For the next 18 hours, Maria was unofficially at the center of the operation, not just as a translator, but as cultural consultant, intelligence analyst, and operation coordinator. "How do you interpret these messages?" asked the CIA expert. "The flower delivery term in the latest message means ready," Maria explained. "In Colombian dialect, this means execute." The FBI launched simultaneous operations in 5 cities. Using Maria's map, they identified exact locations. New York, 50 kilos of C4 explosives found in federal building basement. Washington, D.C., nuclear material in a building near the Pentagon. Chicago, a timer device in a downtown school. Los Angeles, ready bomb near the airport. Miami, complete operations center in a Port District warehouse. Everything matched Maria's predictions exactly. 27 people were arrested. 5 bombs were neutralized. The operation was completely stopped. World War III was prevented with 12 hours to spare. When the operation ended, Maria returned to her office. Same small room, same computer, same routine translation work. The CIA director personally thanked her. "Maria, you're a woman America owes a debt to. It can't be officially recognized, but your contribution won't be forgotten." "I didn't want recognition anyway," Maria replied. "I just did my job." "Your job was translation. What you did was an intelligence operation." "No," Maria said with a smile. "My job was understanding words. They were just different types of words." Crawford approached. "Maria, CIA is offering you an analyst position. Make this capacity official." Maria thought about it. Big office, prestigious title, recognition, but also bureaucracy, political games, endless meetings. "Thank you," she said, "but I prefer to stay here as a translator." "Why?" "Because the world's most dangerous secrets are hidden among simple words, and I'm a person who translates words." That night, Maria went home. No news channel knew her name. No newspaper declared her a hero. Only Crawford and a few senior intelligence officials knew the real story. But Maria was content with this, because the greatest victories are the ones nobody ever knows about. The next morning, Maria came to the Pentagon again. 7:30 a.m., same office, same computer. Another day, more translations. But now she was a different woman. Not just a translator, but a woman who had saved the world. And maybe one day, in another message, she'd find another threat, because wars are won not just with bombs, but with words. This story was brought to you by Warriors. Our question for you: have your talents ever been underestimated, but you later proved how important they were? Share your experience in the comments. If you believe stories like this need to be told, subscribe. We believe the greatest heroes are usually the people doing the most ordinary jobs. Thanks for being part of our community. See you in the next story.